And a meeting, and I'll start the meeting with pledge to the flag.
Something on the screen.
Excuse me.
Everyone stand like this.
I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see.
Does it have power?
Where's power? Oh, you can put your hand down for now. You don't get sore. Oh, okay.
The power's on down there, right?
What's that?
I mean,
Yeah.
I can just pop my phone up there and record and email you the video tomorrow.
What is going on here? Up there before. Yeah, maybe you're right. Connection's all okay. I don't know. That's a microphone.
you have to be able to know how to click on that power on, I think.
Yep.
Hi, I'm not sure what you guys are seeing, but from my viewer point, it's fine. So
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Jesse. It was the monitor. It wasn't plugged into my computer properly, so we got it now. Yeah. All right, everybody's been waiting for the pledge to the flag, so without further ado, we'll go ahead with that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I will open the meeting with opportunity for privilege of the floor. I don't think anybody signed up here. Do you have anybody in Zoom land, Jesse? I think there is one.
yep, Bill Padoka.
And then I think Catherine Goldberg just raised her hand too. So, okay, great.
All right, I've unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. I just got a few comments concerning the resolution with some changes to the draft zoning law. And I know I really can't adequately address them in 3 minutes. So I will follow it up with a bit more detailed written comment. And I also know I have a tendency to talk quickly, and I will do my best to fight that tendency. Regarding CAFOs, there's a proposed change from ASPR to P in ag rural and to disallow in focused commercial. I would say that changing from ASPR to P means the town would have no say whatsoever in the layout of a CAFO. And the town's ability to regulate CAFOs is already severely constrained by the state. And I do understand the existing ASPR language has an exemption for ag operations, which would seem to think that that would eliminate, regulating CAFOs anyway. But I think many consider CAFOs sort of a quasi-industrial use. And because of that, I suggest changing things for a carve-out in that broad exemption in ag operations. That is, CAFOs would be a special thing that does require ASPR, even though they are otherwise an ag operation. Regarding the focused commercial district, I personally find CAFOs an acceptable use there. They're kind of quasi-industrial, as I said, often smelly, potentially noisy. kind of like all the other uses we sort of envisioned having there. So the other two things, one is the deletion of the provision for being able to subdivide undersized and non-conforming lots. And the last is the deleting the requirement of areas of habitat suitable for concern, et cetera, in the site plan review. Regarding the first of those deletions, I really think that division that should be kept, the ability to subdivide undersized non-conforming lots. This will only apply in the ag rural zone because there really aren't undersized lots in hamlet zones because the way things are now defined. And I just urge you to think about how things would actually happen. So when zoning is enacted, lots would get assigned development units by the formula size of the lot divided by 3 rounded to the nearest whole number. And that means that something like a 4.4 acre lot gets 1 development unit. And that means a 4.4 acre lot could not be subdivided into 2 lots that could each have a dwelling on them. And the zoning commission strongly felt it was unfair to make that restriction on an existing lot. Someone might have bought it, years ago, thinking they could make a couple of 2 acre lots. Seems totally a reasonable thing. And so we strongly felt that this provision was really important. Into more detail in the written remarks. And finally, again, about the environmental protections of species of special concern, et cetera. I know there's some thought that this is a complicated and burdensome provision. The zoning commission originally had that as a shall, that is that this review shall be included there for the review board. You guys changed that to a may, which I think is appropriate. Because that allows the reviewer to only impose that requirement depending on the scale of the project and also perhaps based, the scale of the project tends to scale with the resources of the applicant. I think identification of areas for those species is important for protecting the environment, not just for protecting those species, but sort of they're an indicator. And so that helps protect important or rare habitat in general and has sort of broader benefits. Again, I will follow up with some more detail on that, but I think that a smarter path, if we thought this was burdensome, would be for the town to help gather resources to help applicants identify where those species might be in the town, even do some mapping ourselves. That might be smarter than eliminating this provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I didn't realize that, I know Catherine raised her hand online, Becky DeWitt here at the town hall is on the sign up sheet, so I'll go to Becky DeWitt next, Becky DeWitt next.
I don't care what order, it's fine if I go last. Okay, most of you know me. My name is Becky DeWitt. I moved to Caroline 24 years ago with my husband and son, and we own 23 acres of land out on Street Hill Road. And it, as the plan is currently designed, we will be in the ag rural district, which I think, everybody here realizes that means that all of us in ag rural are going to, have some restrictions on us as well as people who live along waterways and so on. I believe this zoning law is good for Caroline.
Good. See? I didn't hear.
Oh, I believe the zoning law is good for Caroline. I'm really grateful to the town board and the zoning commission for their exhaustive efforts to produce a plan that will help guide the future direction of growth in our town. This past spring, I decided to follow the zoning issue in more detail than I had been. So I have been attending the town board meetings since the board started their review, or most of them anyway, of the zoning commission plan. And here's what I've observed in that time. First, I've had a chance to see how carefully they, meaning the board, has deliberated on every item in the plan. They've made many substantive changes to the draft zoning law over the past 6 months. as issues were discussed, there was always a concern for what the impact would be on the community with each piece of the plan. Secondly, the board members commit a lot of personal time to town business. And that goes above and beyond meetings, that moves things forward. When they have questions about any issue, they hold off on deciding until research can be done on any particular issue. And so they can make the most informed decision possible. And third, they give a lot of their free time to be accessible to the community at all kinds of public engagements. It might surprise some people to know that the Caroline Town Board members make only $3,000 a year. They do it for love of their community, not because, it's some kind of professional, full-time position. Just one last thing, it saddened me deeply to see the character of our board maligned throughout this process. There have been accusations, sexual harassment, corruption, deceit, and of not listening, and so on. There has been no merit found to any of these charges, and to me, it is felt abusive at times. I know the board has listened carefully to what residents say and think, and made changes to the plan when they felt it was appropriate. I thank them for their service to the town through this very difficult time.
Thank you, Becky. Okay, Catherine.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello. I guess I wanted to, before I started my planned comment, I just wanted to add regarding a previous comment about CAFOs to just urge everyone to remember that, we have an ag committee and professional consultants who have been hired to consult on those issues. And I would just kind of urge the deferral of all ag provision, questions to them. But I'm speaking at privilege of the floor tonight regarding section 5.2.B.1a on page 65 of the zoning law. This paragraph, which honestly reads more like a Robert Frost poem than a piece of local legislation, represents the subjective aesthetic overreach which concerns some residents, including myself, about this law. Additionally, and most important, it's unnecessary. I love Old
Catherine,
Stone.
would you
Yeah.
mind repeating what section you're referring to?
Oh,
please?
sure. It's the 5.2.B.1a about farm roads and country lanes.
5.2.
Okay, got it.
Which page again?
62 on mine.
Okay.
Page 65 is how it's cited in your resolution, but it's section 5.2.B.1a.
Did you find it?
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
Okay, we have it.
Yeah, no
Becky.
So most importantly, this is unnecessary. I personally love old stone walls and trees as much as the next person, but I don't think it's a private landowner's job to maintain them for public viewing. I don't see either quote old farm road or quote country lane defined in the zoning laws definitions, which further proves the point that these are subjective terms and therefore have no place in a municipal law. Those of us who actually utilize farm roads and lanes cite them with considerations other than aesthetics, drainage, and access to important areas of our farms, such as feeding areas, for example. We certainly would utilize an existing access road if a suitable one existed, but I don't think this needs to be legislated, and I have no idea how it would be enforced anyway. My main point is that this paragraph is subjective, unnecessary, and unenforceable, and I would strongly encourage that you strike it from the law in its entirety. This is really just my 2 cents to help make this law the best it can be for our town. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. And then, we have a Christopher Larkin.
I'm Chris, I grew up on Mailer Road and house we found out just last week, there was no building permit for that house. Anyway, long story. So, listen, I'm off the map here. It's like nobody knows where I come from. It's not as fun as it sounds. Anyway, how long do I have? 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Okay, I have two things,
But you
my
can-
personal or business out of the way first. I have been running a mindfulness support, kind of my own thing. I'm practicing mindfulness for about 20 years. And I started this program at a state program down in Binghamton before COVID. We got along fine when COVID came and we got run out because the program got canceled. And I brought it up to the community center and we've been doing great. We love it and I've gotten a lot better at mindfulness. My students have gotten a lot better at mindfulness. We had these, well, it's called Mindfulness Project. You can look it up, Mindfulness Project. There's about 20 of them around the world, but we're the best. But we have a graduate, we have a program, a Mindfulness Project Pro, my longest student, achieved with her study of mindfulness, a very functional, very presentable, unique novel method for applying her practice. She could sell this to any fucking physical construction trade if she wanted to. She came up with this herself. She earned the letters MPP, Mindfulness Project Pro, after her name. And I just need a quick little vote from you guys saying, we like what I do. From you guys. And I have one other order of business.
Okay.
You have any questions?
Okay.
Answers.
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning more. Yeah, sounds cool. So I saw your email and this is, it's not anything that the town, as a town board would.
Well, I mean, we could be like a methamphetamine call, and you would be worried about that, right? If I was like converting people to methamphetamine, you would be worried about that. You would want to know about it.
Personally, I would be, yeah.
So as a supervisor, I just wanted to say, all we do is practice breathe, we sing a little bit.
I will say,
okay.
personally, I think that's awesome.
Okay, so that's the best we can do. I can't get a resolution or anything.
No, I don't. Town's resolutions pertain to town business.
Well, it's in your town.
Well, there's a lot of things in our town.
Yeah, so I mean, I could be like destroying.
I do think it's really-
Perkindale,
But
but I'm not, and I just want to make that point clear. In an official capacity.
Well, this will be in the minutes, right?
Can we put it on, I mean, I can talk about this for hours.
Yeah, we'd rather not, thank you.
You'd rather not.
We'd rather not.
Okay, so, I mean, if you have any
But
doubt,
this-
I just want an official resolution of what we're doing here.
I don't think we can make a resolution, but this will be in the minutes and
We appreciate
we
your.
appreciate you letting us
Well,
know.
I guess that's what you gotta know your business, and hell, well, Cal, you can't, I mean, that's not appropriate. Just to state officially that we are above board, clean, clear, and doing exactly what we say we do. That's not your business
Well,
officially.
I personally couldn't vote on it without doing a whole lot of research.
Well, I'm saying that.
And it
Oh.
just your word on it. is-
No, I'm not expecting that.
So, but it really isn't, it isn't a law and it's not the town board's business to.
Well, let's get some research.
Because it's not with a budget, it's not with, you're not.
Well, I'm telling you that it could be a methamphetamine call, and you guys would be concerned about it, but I'm doing something good.
Really,
The police would be informed about that, not
Well,
us.
yeah, it would be a little late at that time when all Brookendale's addicted to meth. So I just want to say that this is important, and let's research, let's put it on the board, let's put it on the agenda, I think it's important.
If you would like to send us some information,
I'll write something up, probably how many words,
we would be happy to look at it.
and I have
But this is-
contacts, my mother, my
But,
friends.
excuse me,
Yeah, sorry, excuse me.
but please understand that this isn't an area that we would take an official board action on. But we're very happy to be apprised of it,
Learn about
and
it.
we appreciate you coming and letting us know.
Okay, well, I'll accept that, and I'll be in touch if I feel that we need to look into this more. I'll be in touch, and I would like to address the zoning briefly, very briefly. Is that okay?
Well, you're at 3 minutes plus.
Okay.
So, and I would encourage you, if you have comments on the zoning, to, send them in writing.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll just say, all these shifting, all these allegiances, all these ties, where is Caroline going? It is going to one place. I used to work at the Southern Tier Independence Center, for disabled people. We used to, as a person, we help people with disabilities with their daily lives. And we had a corporate compliance office in the basement. It's kind of weird, it's like this weird thing, you have a corporate, Broome County, they have an exec's office and all that. And I've been through that system as a client, as a provider, and I'm telling you, all these, where's Caroline zoning, where's the direction, it is leading to one place, and that is corporate America. I mean, zoning is corporate compliance for towns, cities, and I mean, what are we presenting? Well, that's good, it's going to one place, corporate America. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, Highway Superintendent's report.
Is there any more speakers? There's another privilege.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
You
sorry.
have a statement approved. So I do want to remind people that we have adopted a new policy to sign up in advance on the sign up sheet, but yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm kind of new at this. I want to speak about, there's been a lot of criticism of Robin Fisher-Cisney. There's been a lot of criticism about the $78,000 that the board spent to hire a professional city planner. And I think the board did a smart thing. When people buy a house, they have it inspected first and it costs money. But it is an investment that saves money in the long run and finds problems before they exist. Otherwise, you could buy the house and discover that, your foundation is crummy. And I want to commend the town board for hiring this planner who had experience in land use regulation for a town of our size. It was the right thing to do. I'd rather pay up front than pay a lot later to correct the mess. And I want to commend the town board for outdoing yourselves in bringing in outside funding for broadband, for traffic improvements, for energy savings. I imagine that the town board has brought in a lot more in outside grants from outside the community that we would have had to come up with ourselves. We kept the property tax under the cap for 5 years. That's more than most communities have done. So I want to thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you, Rob. Okay. I'm not seeing anyone online on the Zoom meeting. Is that right? Jesse?
Not that I see.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody, for your comments. We'll move on to the meeting now. I do want to, I will start by mentioning that we recently had a public hearing on the battery energy storage law, so that's not on the agenda tonight, but we haven't forgotten about it, and we'll be addressing those comments and bringing that forward at a future meeting. The other so I guess with that, I will move on to the Highway Superintendent's report. And do you have anything from Bob? So I'll just mention in regard to that, the Ecruz Road culvert was completed, and that's been submitted for final payment. So and that was, Bob's jurisdiction for the culvert repair. So that was a successful project that will be wrapping up soon. It snowed today. So that's my highway report. And Dan Klein sent us a brief report that the county legislature has set a preliminary budget with a 2% increase. And you had something else that I forgot.
Tax increase.
Tax increase.
Yeah,
Tax
what did I
levy
say?
increase.
Yeah,
You just said increase.
Right, levy increase, yeah.
okay,
He said he tried to report to keep it 0%.
right. And
Yeah, so.
they will be, they've gotten proposals for the county broadband initiative, and we'll be looking at those proposals in the near future, the next few weeks. Any committee reports?
Well, the broadband, we had that great thing last meeting.
Yeah.
But we also, Hans Engineering has responded and had to a proposal, right? For both, the town of Dryden, for the county's broadband.
Yeah.
Right, and so just to let people know that they're making a proposal to the county to cover, parts of Carolina and also parts of Dryden, some places overlap a bit. So, like Thomas Road. So we're hoping that goes through, so.
Great, okay.
I guess the other thing is I went to the, New York, Town Association's training on Monday. And so did Dawn and Will, right? And so, on land use planning, I know there were 4 hour-long classes that were really informative.
Great.
Great. It was over in Corning.
Wow, that's great. I'd be interested to hear like a summary of it if you have that later or something, it'd be cool. It was on planning and zoning.
It was on, let's see, the first hour was on seeker, then there was, updating zoning laws, what makes a good zoning law, when it would need updating, what you want to do, and it was, nice to see actually, they're like, if you don't have tables like this, you should update it, we have tables like that in our proposed law, so that was good to see that ours looked good. And then there was another thing on the, energy and solar panel placement and some stuff on batteries but yeah, got lots of handouts.
Great,
So
great.
I just will follow up on that briefly. Some stuff on the battery energy storage.
not really,
No, I thought
not
you said-
particularly about batteries. Will, did you want to comment on that?
It's about, sorry, it's about NIPA's guidance program to provide guidance, basically for free, to do the gathering of data and a lot of analysis and even up to writing an RFP if municipalities are interested in developing a solar location with or without battery storage. And whether or not they wanted to be behind the meter, which would be retail, or in front of the meter, which would make it wholesale and participating in the markets.
Okay.
It's basically available for the asking, but according to the map that was provided, there's no emphasis on the area around, including Tompkins County or immediately around Tompkins. You're basically doing a slightly different version of what Oars did 2 years ago. So something similar. It's just
Okay.
appropriate for municipalities as opposed to the large installations, which would not be appropriate for municipalities.
Okay. Do you think the lack of emphasis on this area is because of the distribution? Electrical distribution limitations or?
No.
No?
That was, so they had a map, although he did say that, even though it showed that we weren't in a good position, but it was mostly cloud cover.
Oh.
But he didn't, it wasn't that, although we're not in the prime position, it's not that it's not worth doing, this is what he said. So, and yeah, his name was, Casey Maestro.
He's the
He lives right up in
same
Freeville.
He helped us with the street lights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, so I think he's been
Yeah.
less than a week.
Okay, great.
yeah.
Thank you,
And
thank you
then
both. Yeah.
they also talked about area variances and details on that. Anyway, for the zoning.
Great. Any other committee reports?
No.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. So with that, I'll move on to the budget workshop. We need to set the preliminary budget tonight, and thank Judge Reinbold for joining us tonight.
Thank you for putting me up.
Yeah. So I'll just briefly review what I provided to you and how I set the budget. You've already read it, I know, but it's so I set the salary adjustments are currently as of right now, I set them at 2% increase. And the justice salaries as a whole right now are based on adjustments we made over the last 3 years in comparison to other Tompkins County towns. For the court clerk, same thing, a 2% increase. We do have a 5-year continuous service bump up in place for part-time employees. So Diane will be eligible for that when she reaches 5 years. I set the contractual budget at 5,000 and the jury trial at 1,000. That's what they were last year, and they seem to cover the bases. And then let's see. So and then I just asked a number of questions. So that you asked about equipment monitor was an equipment request. There was an amount for that. Bailiff services for 2,700. We previously that's been periodic and or very rare, and I figured we have funds if need be. There was a $700 request for mediation services. Secure furnishings, that's an ongoing discussion. We feel like we've addressed that need. 1,600 for soundproof tiles and installation. So I wanted to follow up on that, and I think we would need professional input on that. Chambers floor renovation for ADA accommodation. Wanted to get more information on that. Ramp to the bench, also requests more information, a desk chair, wiring to jury to court, and then an exterior sign. And so I know that the history room put a sign on the exterior of this building, but we have been working on a plan to create a sign that'll direct people to all of the town departments, clearly that we could post outside. So anyway, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, much of this I don't think I will prevail on, so I'm not going to spend time talking about it. The 5 years is rare for me to ever prevail on anything. So I really want to focus this evening on 3 things. One is the soundproof tiles.
Okay.
Because that air handler sounds like a jet taking off. Floor actually vibrates when it kicks in, and it is hard to be on the phone. So my recommendation is to put in soundproof tiles. I worked in broadcasting for 50 years. I know a little something about acoustics. And you can buy sound panels, foam sound panels that will cut down, eliminate that noise.
Okay, where would they go?
On the walls. You line the walls with them.
Oh, okay.
Line the doors.
On the
interior walls.
Okay.
Where the noise is.
Okay.
You put up sound absorbing panels so that it doesn't go through the wall into what used to be our offices.
Right. I was thinking of like you see in restaurants, they have sound baffling things that are on the wall, so I was thinking of something.
Well,
like
what I'm recommending is acoustic tiles that we use in sound studios.
Right, I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. He's talking about acoustic tiles. It's
Mhm.
common.
Okay,
Just because it's obnoxiously noisy.
great.
The ADA issues, I'm not gonna get into because I haven't done all my research on that, but I am disabled and getting up those steps is a pain, so I'm not sure how we deal with those.
These steps,
Yeah, these steps. My knees aren't what they used to be. So where I'd like to focus on, is really two places. One is the bailiff services. We asked for a bailiff last year and you said, no, we don't need one.
actually, I said, if you needed one, we have funds.
Okay, so what we're asking for here is a bailiff every time we sit. So let me outline my reasoning. Okay, we now live in a culture where for 40 years, the NRA has told gun owners that the reason you have a Second Amendment is so that if an elected official does something you disagree with, you can kill them. That's the message. Okay, so let's put that in context. That's the context that judges live in. Judges are being killed more and more frequently for the decisions that they make. We jail people for up to a year. We fine people in excess of tens of thousands of dollars. We issue orders of protection when they put their spouse in the hospital and we tell them they can't go home and see their kids. We evict people and put them on the street. We take their driver's licenses away from them for 3 or 4 years at a time. These are not going to be reasonable people when we face them. There is no way to anticipate when somebody's going to decide to choose a Second Amendment solution to the problem that's in front of them. Okay? There are secure areas in this town. Next door, you have 2 steel exterior doors and a solid core interior door. The town clerk has a bulletproof glass transaction window. We've got a split Dutch door that's got to be 150 years old. That's our safety right there. What we're requesting is enough money to get a bailiff in here every time we sit. You know, you talk about sufficient funds for this rare need. Yeah, shooting a judge is a rare thing, but you know, they don't send party invitations for it. We don't know when that's going to happen. Okay.
So I understand, we've
don't
left it to
think-
you. We've left it to you to determine your need for this.
Well, we're asking for $2,700 in budget and you have it marked down as an X.
That's because I wanted to have a discussion. So, thank you.
Would this be an armed person?
Yes,
And
somebody needs to be armed here and it's not gonna be me.
Just for information, because I don't know, I'm just trying to.
Usually we hire off-duty deputies.
That's what
That's a
I'm
pretty
curious
standard, almost all the courts here
That's what I want. That's
use
what I want.
off-duty deputies rather than private
Okay,
security,
is that-
or retired deputies or
Okay.
whatever.
So that's your plan, to use a off-duty deputy?
Well, we'll probably choose a pool because we're not, sometimes they can't make it, but yeah, certainly someone who has a license to carry a gun, it would be preferable to the court if it was a licensed peace officer,
Mhm.
which gets rid of a lot of complications for insurance, that sort of thing. But a deterrent. I mean, I know you've been talking about a camera outside. I'm sorry, that's not a deterrent. What that does is if somebody shoots me, you'll know who did it. But that doesn't deter someone who's determined to kill a judge. And I don't think that's overstating things anymore. I really don't.
It's not.
So I would ask that you give us enough money to hire somebody for like 2 or 3 hours for every court session we sit. Just so that I don't have to keep my eye on the door over here to see if somebody's coming in with a piece.
And the number you put in there is the right number, or
We believe that would probably cover it.
do you know what the hourly rate is, or?
No, quite honestly, I don't. Judge Barr drafted this.
Okay.
So I just don't think that that's an outrageous ask. The second is just some questions about methodology for salaries. Okay. What happened to case count? for a year or so, you were portraying that as the sole major critical determiner of compensation. Where did that go?
So, I think you
I mean,
know,
we objected to that, but
you did.
Yeah.
And so I ultimately used population as a metric because that worked out very nicely for all town positions. I did a comprehensive analysis for all positions. And we adjusted 2 positions up significantly, the court and the town clerk. So I thought it was a
Okay,
very reasonable metric.
I just wanted to know if it's gone to sleep forever. Case count.
Well, as far as used, I mean, I think understanding case count, I mean, what is your
It seems
question?
to me, as I recall, that the town took the position that the valid measure of a judge's usefulness is the level of his productivity in output. Like any assembly line worker.
The historical background of this, because many people here wouldn't be aware of this, is that now, 6 years ago, the judges asked for a very, very significant salary increase. The town board, just preceding my arrival, grappled with how best to analyze this. And one suggestion was to compare case counts across the county. One town board member then solicited those case counts from other courts.
That's correct.
And our court disagreed with that method and would not provide the case counts. As a result of that, 2 more years of discussion, we finally were able to settle on population differentiations as a way of understanding comparative salaries across the county, which we did for all positions in the town. So that's the history of this. I don't understand why we need to rehash it.
Exactly right.
Well, we don't, I'm just, you know, we found it so objectionable that I'd like to think that it isn't gonna ever be an issue. Again,
I guess the reason I'm stammering a little bit is that town boards do their jobs by understanding the needs of different departments and the needs of the court. So it is totally legitimate in understanding a court's needs to understand not anything about the rulings or the actual, you know, real workings of the court, but just to understand if I understand from other courts that we ask for summary information that can be provided monthly or annually. It's just like a 1-page document that it gives a snapshot. And so in answer to your question, I think that's a totally legitimate thing.
okay, so we haven't made any progress on that, so I'll move on.
But I will say, to finish on this, you know, I haven't been, or no, as far as I know, nobody else has been asking you for that.
No.
What we get on a monthly basis is 2 checks in an envelope, and that's all we know. So,
Okay. And that's what you're supposed to do. All right, so now it's based on town population.
well, that's the way we, you know, made that adjustment in 2022.
Okay, so the position is that in a small town, our services are worth less than a judge in a big town.
So I don't know if you want to argue this point or not. It's the
Well, I'm just
smaller
asking you.
towns have less work than a big town. Other town courts with big populations have courts that are, you know, much busier. So that's the logic.
So we're back to value. Okay,
And just to, I mean, I did, you know, I have presented it before at a budget meeting, but the analyses, this is actually the justice
yeah, I got that.
one. Okay, good.
Got that.
And, you know, you can see it's a regression so that
Sure.
when you follow the regression back to the y-axis, you're at 0 on the x-axis. So you're saying essentially that's compensating a justice for things that they have to do beyond what the population demands. So the trainings and all that kind of thing. So I think it's not, you know, super sophisticated, but at least it does take into account other things than just your workload.
So does this methodology apply to every position in the town?
That's what I did.
Okay. So as I looked at the figures you gave, the spreadsheet that you gave. We as judges make 55% of what the town of Ithaca makes, which is the largest.
Okay.
Well, let's take town of Ithaca out of it. Anyway, we make 55% of what the highest paid court makes. That's where your analysis came. You, on the other hand, make 70% of what the supervisor in the same town makes. Why do you make 15% more if we're comparing judges to judges and supervisors to supervisors?
You know, it was, you know,
If it's the same town to the same town, there should be the same percentage. That's the product should be.
it's not, it's a regression, it's not a percentage. So that's not how it works. So if you can see on, I gave you the data for each of
You did.
it. This isn't to argue my salary against yours or, you know.
Well, I was just curious as to how the two proportions
So,
came out differently for different positions.
I might mention, just for comparison's sake, that the salaries for the justices have been increased 30%
I'm not arguing that,
over.
but I'm just saying that
Any-
to start
just-
this.
so-
I think that
Context.
needs to be said because we're in a
Yeah.
meeting and I would like to, I would like that information. So thank you.
and
I'm not arguing that it's in the,
if,
maybe you didn't get the information he sent around, but it was in that information. I'm not contesting that.
so. If you look at the regression of supervisor salaries, my salary is right on the line. So that's why it wasn't adjusted. If you know. And I did that fairly, I didn't adjust any salaries down. And the ones that were out of whack on the low side, we brought them up to par. So I was very proud of that.
Okay. Those were what I had. I mean, the rest of it just, you know, we could argue forever. It's not going to change anything. So let's not waste any time.
So I hear your plea for bailiff services.
Well, you know, it shouldn't have to be a plea.
So it wasn't a plea.
I don't know,
If
point
you
was
would quit
discussion.
mischaracterizing things, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I told you last year, if you need a bailiff, we have the funds to do that.
All right, fine. Well, then we're going to retain a bailiff for every time we sit.
I think I need more information, like I need to know how much it's gonna cost per hour. And where you're gonna get them from.
I see.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it seems fair to me.
So we can set a 10.
So is there a threshold beyond which we cannot compensate someone to protect us?
No, I'm just curious to know. First of all, I'm curious to know if $2,700 is enough. Because you don't wanna get half
Well,
for
I'll
the
have
year.
to ask Judge Barr how she came to that.
Right, that would be very, very
Fair.
helpful. And I think it's a reasonable question.
I think Michelle's genuinely wants to support.
Okay, let's find out.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mark, I'm sorry, I just want to clear up the Judge Reinboldt's remarks about my office having bulletproof glass. That's incorrect. It's just glass and it's left open during town office operations. So thank you.
I was under a
Thank
misimpression.
you.
Then I withdraw the observation since it's inaccurate.
Okay. So thank you again. And we will we are now tasked with
One question, does the sound bathroom, is that just materials or does that include installation?
Well, the installation is you slap glue on and you slap them up. It's not, I don't think this, if this were a real sound studio, I think it would call for professional installation, but I think in this particular application.
Again, we will have to get more information,
Right.
quotes for materials and installation, so that
We
we
have
understand.
some.
Well, great.
great.
I mean, I don't think you can expect the justices to slap up
Right.
soundproofing tiles. I think we want to get, because first of all, this is an historic building that's going to undergo an historic renovation. And I think we have to be very careful
Yeah.
about additions like that, and I think we have to do it correctly.
Okay,
And I want to mention, this does remind me of it, it's okay, can I make a comment first? This, I think, is constructive. So, it is true that, you know, when the fan level is on whatever it is, 12, it's pretty loud, I can't hear anything out here. I honestly, so I know that some of the sound comes from the ducts. I just think it would be helpful to have someone, perhaps like our code officer, who has a lot of experience in energy engineering for buildings. To provide, you know, I don't want to put the Band-Aid on the wrong spot. So I'd like, one thing I thought, the second thing that we have been grappling with for a while is I would like to make the building standalone electric, so that we could remove Cal and I talked about and worked on this for a while. We could remove the natural gas boiler, which is down in a dank belly of the building and has to be serviced every year because it rusts quickly and all that stuff. So, and we want to get away from fossil fuels. So, if we can do that, you know, I just think if there's a way that one idea that I think Cliff tossed out one time is you could put a mini split on the back of the building that would heat.
I'm not familiar with.
It's an air source heat.
Okay.
You know, that would have a duct into the court offices. And so then you could just, then the rest of the system could be not operating, and then you'd be perfectly comfortable and
Those offices would be warm and it could be a lot cooler here.
right, quiet. So I think there are multiple ways to look.
It's not the thermal, I mean, I know we've been having some thermal issues,
I think it was just at the crossover there.
right. It's the noise issue. It's not a thermal issue that we're complaining about. It's the fact that when you're on the phone, and that thing fires up.
And I had talked to Halco about it last year and they just said they don't touch it.
They said what?
Sound mitigation, Halco would not,
They wouldn't do it.
so.
Well, that's something that actually Cliff probably knows a lot about, so
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to.
Well, I have no objection to you hiring expertise.
Yeah, I
I
think-
just wasn't quite sure it was
We should.
mandatory, but that's fine.
And I mean, honestly, it's not really a budgetary issue. I think we should, you know, if we can see a way now, we should just do it. We can.
Well, it's a buildings more than.
Right.
It's a buildings and
It's a
grounds.
building
You
issue.
need a
It's
permit anyway, right?
Right.
not a court budget
It's
issue.
not a court
It's a
budget.
building issue.
It's a
So,
building issue.
okay.
Yeah, just getting.
Oh, because it's capital improvements and
Or, you know,
more or less.
It's the building.
It's a building.
Yeah, so, okay, on our to-do list.
yeah, I don't know how much we have to spend on consultants. I think there's enough expertise right here in this room to.
Well, I start
Well, if there's a concern about
Not me.
in this room. you
having been
say?
having been the executive director of the History Center for a couple of years, if there's a concern about violating some tenet of a historic building, then that's reason enough. I mean, you do express that concern.
It's a very noisy coal stove.
I think consulting with the building inspector is the perfect solution, because first of all, we would need a permit. Second of all, he has expertise.
Mhm.
Far more than I think anybody sitting at this table, so I don't know
I,
what you're talking about, but.
yeah, and
A couple people here that know what about stuff.
your
Wow.
point is well taken, because if we do get the grant,
Right.
we'll be assigned an architect to help us, so
Yeah.
we'll have the expertise there, so.
So you just don't want to slapdash something up there with some irreversible glue. It's just gonna be a pain to remove it if you have to.
That would be.
I don't know why you remove it, but that's okay.
Well,
No,
I
it's
think
fine.
we're all in agreement that this
Yeah.
is something we would like to address.
yeah,
Okay.
So we can just move on.
that's
Okay,
on our list.
very good.
And the bailiff and the secure furnishings for court records.
Oh, I'm not getting into that.
The
Would
bailiff,
be good all night.
you need to give us more information.
All right, I'll talk to Judge Barr,
Thank you, that'd be great.
try and secure her notes on how she came up with that number. I'm off to bed. I've got arraignment duty at 8:00 in the morning today.
Great, thanks for joining us. Alrighty, so, I don't know, let's see, let me see here. Let's see, I may go grab my budget folder real quickly. Say that again.
I just got talking to myself. How many people are online?
No, I can't say.
Yeah, I can't. So I was gonna.
Look like, it's like four.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, participants.
Four.
Four.
Okay. Yeah. Three.
Can you take these with me? What? I don't have a key to your car.
Oh, yeah, well, that's right, somebody has to take me.
There's a lot of dogs are in the car, actually.
Well, somebody can take it.
Somebody can take it. It's gonna, seriously, she's like shutting me. Somebody else.
That's a certificate. Yep, just put down.
Can you drive Tim home?
Can I,
Drive Tim home? Not now.
Tim? Oh, yeah,
You can actually see
I
better.
saw his wife leave, yeah.
Right.
Can I
You can actually see
that?
better without my glasses.
So, in regard to the court budget, do we need to make any changes, or do you want to wait until we know more at the? So what we'll do tonight is set the preliminary budget.
Correct.
That'll be put forward for the public.
Mhm.
And then we can make changes then, but we should strive to come as close to what we want to end up with tonight, I think.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, if we wanted to pen in provisionally that number that they recommended for bailiff,
yeah, it was 2,700.
then that would be fine with me.
They know it's in the budget. No, yeah, they know it's in the budget.
Right, and then we can change it if we get the information.
I'm comfortable with this method of just declaring a number out of the blue and
Mhm.
kind of imagining things, but I'm willing to go with that.
No, I mean, if you get some actual data that we can base it on, you know, the number of court sessions times the number of hours times the.
Right, right.
We can do it.
I'm surprised they can do it for that.
Well, it does seem low to me for,
So.
So but it's once a week. They don't meet every week.
They don't meet every week, but they want.
2 to 3 hours.
48 times out of the year.
so 48 times, well, right there, that's,
50 bucks.
50 times 2 would be 100.
I mean, they could get $100 an hour.
How long are their sessions?
Oh,
I think they should use it.
We don't know.
I mean, usually,
Be all over the place, I don't.
yeah, 2 to 3 hours, something like that.
Sure, it varies every day.
So it could be like twice that amount. And I would think the person being hired would have to have an expectation for how many hours they would be kept for.
Unless, I mean, that might be, it sounds like there might be a pool that they just draw on, so then you're contracting with the pool.
Anyway, we need to.
It's not the person.
We'll trust their number.
Yeah.
So that,
I don't trust their number, I just want them.
so that, you know, if I put office expenses and training and fees, that comes out to 6,000. So contractual, like that. Should I make that 6,000? Would you say?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you
Okay.
adding to that? I mean, how are you getting 6,000?
Oops.
Is that 2,700 plus something?
Maybe I don't have it enabled. Oh. We should be able to change it, right? Oh, yeah, it changed. No, it didn't. Isn't that weird?
Why does it keep doing that?
Don't know.
What is it doing? I
It
can't
kept
see.
changing from 6 to 5,000. He was typing in 6, changed to 5.
Oh,
Subtracting 1,000 for some reason.
Okay. There it changed. So need to write these down as we go. So A 110.4
6,000.
goes from 5 to 6.
Okay, so why is that?
Because we'll need it in the resolution. I need to know what all the numbers are.
Okay,
For I'm just keeping track.
but why did it go up by 1,000?
Why what?
It seems like it went up by 1,000, right?
Yeah, it went up by 1,000.
For why? What is the 1,000?
Oh, okay. So what they had 1,300 for training and fees, 2,000 for office expenses.
Yeah.
And then 2,700 for bailiff services. So I just added those 3 up,
Oh, okay,
came up to 6,000.
okay, okay.
Great, okay. Anything else there?
Not in justices.
Okay.
I would like to return to salaries,
Yeah, let's,
but in whatever order you want to do things.
I'd like to go through the spreadsheet and make sure we've got all that. The one I remember is the DA1, whatever. DA 5110.4 that Bob was concerned about. So I want to make sure we. So that's this one. He told me today that he does expect. It's hard to imagine, but he expects that number to be near 189 by the end of the year.
Which number for that line or
For
for the?
DA 5110.4. This hasn't been updated since the end of August, so, but I don't think we added on a lot.
Well, 189 would have been the adopted budget number,
Would have been what?
the adopted budget number.
Yeah.
So it'd just be, he's just saying that it's gonna be flat,
He's,
Yeah.
his
right?
budget, right.
That's right. So he's asking that it stay at 189. So. I believe that's what he was saying.
Is that what he was saying, Cal?
Yes.
I mean, I was thinking maybe put that at 189, but I don't know.
So the challenge, Mark, just so that we all remember, especially because Michelle wasn't here, is that last year we started a new line, which is
DA 5110.41.
0.41 with 75,000 for fuel costs. That used to come out of the previous line, 0.4. And when we did that last year, the expectation is that that was going to be a one-time bump, and then that we would even it out after that. That was my understanding at the time.
That it
Well,
would
I
be,
thought we were just
that it was
pulling
gonna be
them
a-
apart.
We were pulling them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not sure why we should budget for 75,000 though, if they've only used 53,000.
Yeah.
This past year.
I'm wondering if we should budget that at 60 or something like that. But I don't know if that's straining at gnats or what, but
I mean, it's kind of, as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of irrelevant, because if it's left over at the end of the year and
mhm.
we need some money in 0.4, we just move it to 0.4, right?
Mhm.
Anyway,
That seems good.
I mean, in my mind, these things are just totally fluid between each other.
Yeah.
True. That's where we're at, yeah.
Am I getting that wrong, Cal? Is that?
No, you're not. Just. Oh,
I mean, I can see, Mark, that what you did is you based the 135 in relationship to the 41,000 projected through the year.
Mhm.
So if it is gonna be 189, that changes the equation. That would change how you did it.
Mhm.
I totally see what you're doing. I mean, if we make these adjustments, then we might have to make an adjustment then in how much money we're putting aside for the highway barn under the highway budget. I don't know. In other words, trying to keep these puzzle pieces relatively, assuming that if
Well-
these are then too high, it'll go into overflow anyway, and that can be used for highway barn.
Unbalanced, but we don't wanna, I mean. Yeah, it might not be worth struggling with, but. Because at the end of the day, you know, I think I'm gonna advocate for keeping the levy flat this year,
the tax was
so.
If we can, I'd like to do that.
Yeah. Let's see. So, so are people thinking we put this back at 189 as Bob requested? For the preliminary budget? Or-
So I guess, has he actually added up his expenses?
Pardon me?
Has he actually added up his expenses?
Oh, I see.
I don't know for sure.
Does Jesse know?
well, expenses for the same stuff projected into the next year are quite a bit higher.
Right,
But
Everything for diesel fuel.
right.
You know,
That's the difference.
it's like double what it was
Yeah,
if you average the last 2 years. So.
but still, I mean, if we're talking about the end of this year, and he said he thinks it's gonna be that amount, but I guess I'd like to see.
So the actual expended in 5110.4 and 22 was 173,202.
Right, so like, there was an $89,000 fuel bill last month, that's not in.
I also think, just from what I reviewed in the vouchers last month, there was a bunch of pipes, and stone that he had coming in too, so I know that there's
Those are big numbers.
there's a significant number,
Coming,
coming, yep.
okay,
1,000, and, just things like plow cutting in, they've doubled and, I don't know, they're just. There's just a huge uncertainty in trying to project.
right, but we have to do our best, so.
Yeah,
um,
I'm just curious to know what he will have actually spent by the end of the year. It's one thing to say, oh, I think it's gonna be this amount, but I'd actually like to know the numbers.
The problem is we won't know before we pass the budget what's spent by the end of the year, but what we should have a good idea. It's November.
Yeah,
But if I look at the price of diesel futures for fuel oil futures, it's quite.
Well, I agree with all that, but I still want to see the numbers.
So we have to put some number in here, guys.
so I'm gonna put 189
Yeah,
in here.
Okay.
And that's gonna
Screw things up.
impact our final number a little bit, so.
Yeah.
So it might be a head scratcher a bit.
Yeah.
I think that's the only. I mean, Bob mentioned that today. He didn't think he'd be here, so that's the one thing he wanted to discuss.
Okay.
And then,
I just finished advocating for fuel, but can roll that back to 60,000 or something.
say that louder.
Roll the fuel back to 60,000. I mean, I just finished advocating for, fuel is probably gonna be up, the same amount of fuel is gonna cost a lot more.
So
I mean, if you have to.
are you recommending that maybe we do? So this year,
Tossing it up.
my projection is 53,000. That was my projection a month ago. What if we put it at 65?
I wouldn't want to go below 65. I think.
You wouldn't want to go, would you,
Not below 65. I think.
do you want to
65
leave it
would
at
be-
75 then?
I think we could do 65, understanding that there's going to be fluidity.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, I just realized I'm supposed to be. Okay. Oh, boy. And I think there's nothing else in the highway budget to worry about right now.
Okay.
I will quickly go through, I will just note the Caroline Fire Protection District, so Speedsville is asking for 67,400, which is an 18% increase. I want to follow up with them about what the plan is there. All the fire departments are up in some respect. But you'll see Brooktondale is flat for the Caroline Fire Protection contract, so they didn't go up at all. The other two these are non-town tax items, the Brooktondale Fire District and the Slaterville Fire District, so they passed budgets. And it at least Slaterville told me nobody attended their public hearing, so theirs was up 22.6% to $113,000, and Brookendale's up 8% to 193. I think all of these are related to equipment, capital purchasing plans or something like that. So I do think,
I just don't know, but I'm just wondering, do we know, are they in conversation with each other about these capital plan needs? Do they have any
I don't know,
communication?
I don't know what the cross pollination is on that.
I have no idea either.
Mhm.
I mean, it would be great to, not wanting to step on anybody's toes, but to
Yeah.
encourage that somehow.
But I think it'd be, as I mentioned, I
I don't
think
know
it'd
if
be good
that's our
for us.
business, it's probably not our business, but you know, that's kind of what we've been trying to do with our equipment,
Mhm.
highway.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. So, I think it'd be good for us to engage more and,
We can encourage them, yeah.
find out how to support them. Let's see, then, Tim, did you want to have a discussion about the wage increase?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was preliminarily set at 2, and I think it would be reasonable to put it at 3.
I thought we were thinking 3.4 to be with the cost of living increase.
What did you say?
3.4 to be with the cost of living increase that's set, like, social security and.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I think we
So
should go with.
that's fine with me.
I would advocate for 3.
3 simpler, that's all.
Yeah, 3.4.
3.4.
I could go with 3. Is this gonna cause a problem with the highway department?
That's a totally different issue.
Yeah,
It's
That
not,
is-
it's
I
not,
realize that, but.
it's not way out of whack, though,
I realize.
they didn't get but we talked about this, the employees outside the union didn't get an increase in wages. Last year, they did get, was it 4%, was it last year? But that still wasn't where the cost of living was at that time. Right, that was like almost 8% at that point last year with the inflation. So bringing it to 3.4, I don't really think is, it's so that their wages aren't going backwards in buying power. Right, and they did last year.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking for 3.4.
Well, I guess I'd like to see the numbers, like how much is that gonna change the budget?
I'm sorry?
I'd like to see how much each one, how much it changes the budget.
Okay.
3 or 3.4.
Okay, you can do that. You can do that more easily. You've got the Excel spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, I can
So
do
it means
it.
we get a 49-cent raise instead of a 45. So,
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, and it doesn't impact the budget that much, then I have no problems, But I think people's taxes go up, they're gonna be
we're
upset
gonna
about that
start
too.
calling you Show Me Michelle.
I'm a Capricorn. I know, I was an English major and everything, but it's like, I need to see real numbers. Yeah, would you entertain a question from Becky?
Why are you asking me?
Or more?
Did you have a question, Becky?
Well, I was wondering about where things landed with the history room.
Maybe we could get to that.
Yeah, I want to focus on what I'm
Yeah,
doing here,
yeah.
That's
so.
fine.
And the 3 or 3.4 wage increase would include
Clerk. All elected offices,
yeah,
plus assistant clerk, code officer, court clerk.
Yeah.
Highway clerk, highway, whatever it's called,
yeah, assistant.
or whatever it is.
I mean, if it's
It's
not,
right here, these guys right here. Council member, justice, supervisor, town clerk, right?
No, because there's other,
And then there's code
Who else? Sorry.
enforcement.
Oh, right.
these are like, yeah, These are the elected
Okay,
officials. So it'd be, let's see, one,
So, let's see, 1.0 to 1.03 is about 3,300 difference, and then 1.03 to 1.034. Wow, it's bigger than I thought. So 77.9 to 79.1. So $1,200. Anyway,
what are the numbers, Mark? You were talking to yourself, I didn't understand.
so 1.02 to 1.03 makes it.
What is 1.02 to 1.03, what does that mean? Sorry, I'm not following you.
3% versus 3.
2% to 3%.
Okay,
Oh, 2 and 3, not 3 and 3 and 4.
No,
I
no,
think that's.
between 2% and 3% makes a $3,300 difference in the budget.
okay.
Okay,
3 to 3.4% makes a $1,200 difference in the budget.
wait,
I just got confused.
oh, I know why, because, so you would actually have to add like. That's three,
your 1,200 is plus the 3,300.
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
so it's like,
Okay,
okay,
So the total from 2 to 3.4 is 4,500 more.
that's in the entire budget,
That's correct.
that's the total budget. I mean, our,
That's the non-union
well,
employees.
it
right?
seems all right then.
Dispersed between.
I mean, yeah, $1,200 between, sounds like quite a few people.
7 or 8.
Yeah. I could go to 3.4.
I know you don't want to, but I think it's a reasonable thing to do. I mean, we're talking about a $1,200 difference, right?
Okay. So
You're not,
I mean, are you concerned about the precedent being set for,
no, I don't know.
actually, I was actually wrong. It's not 3.4, it's the COLA, Social Security COLA is 3.2.
Oh.
So what do you mean 3.2 when?
For this year, for 2024 going in there, the Social Security cost of living increase, right, adjustment is 3.2%. Whereas last year was 8.7. So I thought it was 3.4, so I misremembered.
so we would do 3.2.
We would do 3.2 if we were going on that idea.
So. So like $1,000 difference.
So shall we do 3.2?
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
3.2. It's like-
Which would be a $600 difference, right?
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Let's see, thank you.
Never refuse a breath mint.
Okay.
So, that, let's see, make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. So with all these changes, we're now $80,000 over the 2023,
How much?
80,000 over the 2023 levy.
What part is up so high, much higher?
Well, the highway department stuff added a lot, right?
It was.
Highway,
No way.
it's mainly the highway.
It's 65-70% of the budget.
Highway.
How much does it change per? For
we're $7,000 under the tax cap,
Okay,
That's good.
but I want it to be.
Where are we in relationship to fund balance vis-a-vis others?
and that's with, and you put the 65,000 in for the contractual fuel, right? Out of the number 75,
I did that.
okay, just making sure.
So as of today, I figured our fund balance is at 41% of budgeted expenditures. Something like that.
So can we draw on that? I mean, that's a fairly substantial fund balance.
We can.
Weren't we anticipating that we're going to add to that fund balance at the end of this fiscal year?
We're anticipating what?
Are we anticipating that we're going to add to the fund balance at the end of this fiscal year? I was thinking I heard that when I
Probably a little
first
bit.
started.
Yeah. Let's see, I think I have a space in here for. Here we go. Right. Here we go. Well, I'll have better numbers next time, but you know. It looks like we'll add to fund balance.
So do we have enough now that we can then? Pass resolution to adopt the preliminary budget? This is the preliminary budget. Can we do that or not?
So where we have yeah, maybe. Maybe what we do is pass this. I mean, I think keeping our unexpended fund balance contributions where they are, and then making a decision next time might be the way to go. I mean, those are significant fund balance contributions.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're very wise to try to keep the tax rate flat because looking forward, if we're doing the highway barn and broadband, the tax rate is not going to be flat.
I know.
So that would be a good time to do it when we can.
Yeah.
Great, okay. Those are pretty minuscule changes that we've adopted tonight. Have we covered the bases?
I guess the only question that I have remaining, which I think we settled, is the planning in case so we have, that should cover it, I guess, because we have 30 budgeted if we needed to bring in extra help for zoning enforcement.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm good.
I think so.
Great. So I'm fine with it.
We're gonna have any have to have any new lines of like a zoning official?
Well, that would be,
Okay, you're saying it would be within.
that's a planning budget,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that next year we might want to talk about the possibility of hiring a budgeted line planner for the sake of searching out monies for us. I mean, a lot of towns have professional
We'll
planners.
see how it goes. Yeah.
So that's something we could think about.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm fine with this.
All right. Jesse. Anything else you can think of?
I think you got everything covered from, at least from my notes from the first budget workshop.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I'll grab the agenda here and I'll offer a resolution. Offer resolution to make the following changes to the tentative budget. A 1110.4 change to $6,000. EA 5110.4 increased to $189,000. DA 5110.41 decreased to $65,000. And the cost of living adjustment increased to 3.2%. The changes I have. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Kate. And any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. So I made that as a separate new resolution, Jesse. So I'll offer the following resolution. Whereas the Caroline Town Board has completed review of the 2024 tentative budget and approved modifications, therefore be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby adopts the 2024 preliminary budget, and further be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board sets public hearings on the 2024 preliminary budgets for town, fire district, and streetlight districts for November 15th, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Caroline Town Hall to hear comments. The supervisor's presentation of the preliminary budgets will precede the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Michelle. Any questions or? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. We've adopted the preliminary budget and we'll publish that for the public hearing in the town newspaper.
I'll also get that published. I'll write myself a note. Now
Okay,
do that, Mark.
great. Thanks, Jesse. All right, now to proceed to the edits or changes to the zoning law draft. And I look forward to getting these changes in place and then making changes and getting something posted for the public to sort of see where we're at right now. I do want to address some of Bill Podolka's comments.
He was fast.
He only had 3 minutes.
Yeah, and actually I shared some of his concerns.
Good. Great. And I'm dealing with my disheveledness. Okay, so we do have a resolution, and some of these I asterisked, the ones that were changes in response to the ag review that George Franz did. So I did ask by email, but I'll ask again. Be sure to point out. I think we should go through this, decide what we're comfortable with, and then pass those as a package, as a consent resolution. Resolution. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. So right now, we're just doing a discussion, going through these changes. Catherine Goldberg also had a comment, so.
Yeah. Also worth considering.
I'm sorry?
Also, I think her comment was worth
Yep.
considering also.
And that isn't included in this list.
Yeah.
That change is not included in this list.
I'm sorry, I've lost track.
Catherine Goldberg made a comment.
Yeah, she
And I
did.
think her comment is worth considering.
Yes,
Mhm. Well, it could be included in this list because the language is right here.
yes.
It does say may, it's not, that's a guideline or recommendation.
Right, so
I mean,
are we having a discussion on this now, or do you want to go through them?
I think,
Let's go through it, I think. So that's a good point, but we can discuss it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do, so why don't we go through it sequentially?
Yeah.
So does anyone have comments on the first page of the resolution as printed?
I have a
Cal,
question or comment on commercial boarding operations.
go for it.
In the use table P, it says P in all districts. But I don't understand why
Mhm.
you could have a commercial horse boarding operation in all districts, but you can't have a church in Beesmer. It just seems like, why would you permit?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
He's wondering why it would be appropriate for, say, the hamlets, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
For a horse boarding operation, but not appropriate for a church.
Well, I think I'm just gonna weigh in on it,
That's
and just
that's
throw
what
it
I'm-
out there.
Yeah,
I think part of it is traffic. Like the traffic involved in a church is gonna be a lot greater than the traffic for horse boarding. Horse boarding.
yeah, especially on Sundays. Or Fridays or Saturdays.
On the other hand, I think I wondered about that too, but it says 10 horses.
at least 7 acres.
There aren't that many places that have 7 acres in
Yeah,
a hamlet.
Yeah,
it's just-
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't apply to most places in hamlets.
Yeah, I guess my thinking is if you had 7 acres and you're near a hamlet, it wouldn't be incongruous.
But I can think of 7 acres in a hamlet
And 10 horses.
next to the Baptist church on 79.
Can I provide the context in which George made his comments?
Okay,
At community meeting? His comments about the horse boarding operation were made in the context of New York state law and the fact that it wasn't clear in New York state law whether the state was considering commercial horse boarding operations. But if the town wants such operations to be considered an agricultural related activity, then you should treat it like one. And so wherever you would,
And also just kind of clarify, take the ambiguity out of it.
yes.
Was what I remember.
Right.
Yeah, and that was, I believe that was the context, it would be in the tape of the meeting, the video of the meeting, if you want to hear exactly what he said.
So it's like they're not really like growing food or,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just,
Unless
just,
they draw their own.
yeah. Just trying to be so, and not racehorses. I mean,
yeah.
just, to me, it's just trying to be too. And I just wondered about the confusion of. At least
It's
in
good
my
to
mind.
know
that-
why, it's good to know though why it would be necessary to put in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And the same question as to all districts,
Yeah,
but
Right, I mean, I could see,
practically speaking, I mean, the only district that I could think of where it'd be necessarily inapplicable would be Center Brooktondale.
yeah,
Just because it's
Right.
not gonna happen.
so I wonder like why there isn't a requirement for like site plan review or something. Like permitted in ag rural, but then a site plan review for hamlets,
Well, we can do that.
we can.
who want to.
I mean, there's one place I could think of right on Brooktondale Road that has a barn and it has a number of acres. I don't know how far it goes back. I don't think it's gonna be 7 acres.
Yep.
But that I can think of one place that.
Yep.
Might wanna have, 7 ponies for
Yeah.
lessons or something, I could, attend.
So I would say in other district to have ASPR or SPR, have some kind of site plan review to make sure it's not gonna impact neighbors or be too close to water or whatever. And then, but for ag rural, have it be
Permitted.
permitted.
I would agree with that.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Makes sense. I mean, that's something that, what is your
What's your
reservation?
reservation?
I don't know. That was Nan's recommendation to just permit it across the board.
Oh, yeah, well, I would trust on that, thanks.
Yeah, I don't,
What about the thing about racing horses?
Well, I think that, yeah, you don't wanna have racing horses, that brings up a whole nother level of noise and cars
Well,
and,
horse racing is a different,
yeah.
people breathing racing.
I don't see what
Breed
I don't,
boarding.
Yeah,
no, but I don't see what the problem would be having site plan review, which is just a siting issue. It's a siting
Yeah.
issue
so,
on the property.
Yeah.
To help facilitate if you were gonna have such a thing
yeah,
and it's close to residential houses.
right,
How can you best cite it? That's what site plan review
Yeah.
does.
or,
So-
if it bothered, you could do abbreviated site plan review.
Yeah, so I don't see that it's a major issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's a major issue either. I go either way, honestly. So,
Cal, you brought it up, what do you think?
I just don't think it should be permitted and what stood out to me was permitted in all districts. And
But it's gotta be 7 acres, this is what gets me. So if you have 7 acres, that's a lot of land.
it depends on your point of view.
Depends on how many horses you're boarding.
yeah,
At least 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Well,
to me,
they could
7
always
acres
just get 9.
is not,
Say what?
to me, 7 acres isn't much.
Not
Yeah,
much,
that's
man.
true.
it's really not much.
Yeah, depends. on
You know,
where you're
but
coming
I'm just, that's me.
Can I make a recommendation
Yeah,
that for now, we say P in agriculture and SPR everywhere else? I think we're gonna have to go through the table one more time.
Mhm.
And then we can spend time when we're going through the table worrying about that again.
yeah,
Would that be
I
just to
agree
move
with that.
along?
that's fine.
from. So you said P in ag
Ag,
rural,
yeah.
and then ASP or SPR?
SPR everywhere
SPR
else.
everywhere else.
SPR
Yeah.
Yep,
in others?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Fine with that.
Okay,
and the reason, by the way, the reason that we're gonna have to go through the table again, just for background, we don't wanna spend time on this tonight, but Mark and I were in communication both with Guy and with Nan. And there's some discussion about the prevalence of special use permits in the chart, and we think that it won't be a bad idea for us to review those, but we don't want to do that tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's
So
not
then
tonight.
No, so then we can go back to the,
Yep.
to this.
Not tonight. I agree with that. All right, so page 2, the second page.
Well, wait a second, industrial cottage manufacturing,
Okay,
it just, to me, it's
wait, is it a page we're on?
the first page, yeah. Mark was saying, let's go to page 2, and I,
he's jumping on the gun here. He's
Okay.
jumping on the wagon.
All right, so, because we didn't look at farm stand or greenhouse, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to change. Oh, that's on,
We're on
that's on
page
page
2.
1.
okay.
On my
Farm
page 1.
It's actually page 2, because page 1 was the horse farm.
Let's just go alphabetical.
Well, whatever.
Cal printed his own and made the
I
pages
see,
different.
okay,
So, okay, so farm market, any comments?
farm stand,
Farm stand,
That's
farm
been
market.
edited.
yeah, I don't have any problems, I mean, I don't have any problems with any of this stuff, but it's like,
I don't either.
okay, but Cal has a question on industrial cottage manufacturing.
Yeah, it just seems like we're trying to make an issue of something that's a non-issue. You know, you don't have 10 employees out the back of your house. I mean, I guess I kind of think I know somebody doing industrial cottage manufacturing, and I'm just kind of going, huh?
I mean, is there?
I mean, just, I make cheese out of the back of my house and yet it's, it's a big enough that would be considered industrial.
But you don't have 10 employees. Right. So,
And you wouldn't have, so you would be an industrial cottage industry, right?
No.
Manufacturing.
Because he doesn't have 10.
Right.
He
No,
would just be cottage,
right.
he wouldn't be
Right,
industrial.
yeah, but I mean.
And which does not employ more than 10 persons.
That's right.
Right,
No, I
what do we
see.
even
He
need?
is industrial cottage.
Yeah,
Okay.
Why have a rule for something
that's okay anyway.
or that's just never gonna happen?
Well, you don't know that's never gonna happen.
Uh,
Well, what's the problem?
I think, so this is
Just
maybe,
having a rule-
we all can follow up on this too, maybe,
It's
but
just having a rule for,
this was George's
This is
George's recommendation.
The principal dwelling unit law, which is
No.
notification.
this is Caroline, not,
But
Coastal.
this is, like, these are just a list of definitions. I don't see the problem with having definitions for things that might come up. I mean, it doesn't take away from anything. You don't wanna read it, just don't read it.
I just,
So it's not, if it's not in the use table, it's not allowed.
Right.
But actually,
I don't know,
I mean, yours is a home business,
Yeah,
period.
Yeah,
it's not industrial cottage manufacturing.
no. I mean, I could see
Well,
industrial cottage manufacturing precisely as something that could
Yeah, you never know what's gonna
happen
happen.
in this town quite easily.
So why not be prepared for it by having a definition? We're just putting a definition, we're not even putting a rule.
So it'd be like,
But then we could also be defining lots of other things.
Principal
I just don't
dwelling.
think we even need to be defining something that's.
Well, this
Okay, so
was,
this-
this was recommended by
Yeah.
George France as something that he recommended
Yeah.
that we include, and
Mhm.
I'm just trying
I'm
to,
willing to take his advice.
I try to keep it simple.
Well, I feel like we got it.
Yeah.
And so it's not like we were taking time to do research on
Yeah.
it. And so why not include it? Just to make-
Well, I'm just, going over my points, things that
Yeah,
I liked meets and bounds too.
Would you, I mean, would it make it easier if we had a vote on it, or how would you?
I
hear your
Yeah,
point.
or not.
I totally hear your point. But I hadn't thought about it. Weirdly, when I see it, I'm thinking, that's exactly what might happen.
yeah.
Okay, so, sorry, I just have a hard time with the wording. Which does not employ the more than 10 people who, no, on site, not residing on the property. So they're talking about the not residing on the property are the 10 people.
Yeah,
So they're like people who are coming in.
Yes,
right,
So it's not like your family.
no,
right. They
Right.
can park there all day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to Michelle's.
I don't know
point that,
business.
Yeah, it's not-
You're just
okay.
defining something.
No. it's
You
not
never know
our
what's
business.
gonna happen in this town.
Yeah. So,
okay,
I'm fine with all the definitions. Yeah.
I'm fine with nursery.
okay, so let's see. So now I'm
I'd like to leave in meets and bounds.
Where's
Yeah, yeah, that was a new one for me too.
Where's that?
Where's
Meets and bounds,
Where's that?
page 28.
Oh, meets and bounds, yeah.
Site.
I just, it's just a little bit of whimsy and a kind of a dry, you just, whoa, I don't know, it's an old term.
Listen, it's a law. There's no room for whimsy here.
Okay. Hear that, Catherine?
Is she still there? Oh, can you take down the budget? Oh,
So what's conservation on the budget?
I can see who's still here.
Okay,
I think Catherine's muted. She's
Okay.
still there.
there she
Oh,
is.
she's there.
I wasn't allowed to unmute, but I heard you. Whimsy.
I like meets and bounds.
Jack, I heard you, Cal.
It's gonna be an end to whimsy from now on. No more whimsy, and give us numbers.
Oh, okay, so are we on like starting the schedule of uses?
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Okay,
So did you get my revision of page 64 F.1.2 F? Or 5.1.2 F?
I don't know.
So in that,
I mean, I read the last thing you sent
okay,
this afternoon,
Yeah,
and that's what I
So-
went through when I was doing my reading.
Right, which,
that would be any change of use, occupancy of land, buildings, structures, or other improvements on land defined in the zoning law to use to a use or occupancy that requires site plan or special use approval shall obtain the appropriate review board approvals before being undertaken. And the next sentence is parallel, saying any expansion of such use or occupancy that is 25% or greater than the existing square footage of the structure or use shall also require the same. So that was my revision.
Yeah, and that was because Mark and I had actually talked about this and it was just repetitive, so I thought.
So I will offer that in place of what's in this.
So page 43, so Bill brought up CAFOs.
Oh, right, yeah, I didn't understand why you changed it to P.
Oh, did I skip it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, good.
Where?
Schedule one table of unit uses,
Yeah.
page 43, change ASPR to P and ag rural for CAFOs. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a lot. I would still encourage some kind of review.
I think he was saying it should be allowed in focus commercial.
Yes, he was.
He was saying that.
And I would disagree with that.
Well, you're gonna have these size restrictions and things in focus commercial that's gonna eliminate any.
Yeah.
I mean, hasn't a CAFO is. In New York State right now, it's like 300 milk cows, 400 beef cows, or 100,000 chickens.
Based
That's
where,
big.
based where we have focus commercial, a CAFO shouldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah, I could go that route. I was just curious about having it permitted and not without an ASPR.
So that is a reasonable point. So so George France explains something about that, and so there can be limited site plan review for a CAFO as far as siting.
Mhm.
So I don't know quite how to design it in there.
Well, that's abbreviated site plan
Yeah,
review,
yeah.
that's what it is.
That's what.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that what we want to do?
Yeah.
We want to put it back to ASPR?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
We had,
so
yeah.
we want ASPR.
Just
Okay,
forgive me at times for forgetting, but that would be the more limited
Yep, I think it's just like one,
kind of egress and.
yeah.
so is the recommendation to not include page 43 change, essentially?
Well, I think you're. Wait, did
Oh,
you,
we got to do the X in focus commercial.
I can see, I think it's reasonable to not have it allowed in focus commercial. Have it be, I think it's reasonable to not have them allowed in focus commercial.
Right, and Tim had the same opinion. I'm
So-
willing to go with that.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so it'll be
ASPR,
ASPR and then X in focus commercial. So
ASPR and ag rural.
Only an egg roll. And then X everywhere else.
understood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And like George's recommendation was based on avoiding contravention with New York State
Yeah,
law.
yeah, that's right.
And that was his reason, as I recall it. That was his reason for making it permanent, so he didn't leave the town alone.
Oh, I see. What did Guy say? Did Guy have any comments about that?
I think both Nan and Guy said that you can have limited review, but it's only about citing or
Right.
Yeah,
something like that. So,
So
I think you, Yeah.
and you don't want a CAFO here, period, but that's a whole other issue.
you don't want to,
CAFO, period, but that's a whole other issue.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
do it.
okay,
you can't.
You can't, well,
Eliminate.
Can't do it.
Good. are we done with that one?
Yep.
Okay,
at least in my opinion.
then do we want to go to the retain and reuse existing old farm roads language, 5.2.B.1A?
Is that the one that Catherine was talking
Yes,
about?
it is. Do you want to start that, Michelle?
The maximum extent practical. It doesn't say may, actually, it just says,
It does, if you look at, let's see, if we go to the law.
I'm looking at the thing that Mark sent.
I'm
So-
looking at, hold on,
Anyway, I
what
think,
is under is, sorry,
this is more than about that language, it's more about
palatability and
Yeah.
appropriateness.
Yeah.
So,
Um. Hold on, sorry, I'm looking, what is it, 5?
It's 5.2.B.1.A.
God, 5.2.B.1, hold on.
But it does say, to the maximum extent practical, it doesn't say.
It says. I'm sorry, I saw 5.2.B, right,
Mhm.
this says. The following guidelines are recommended, this is B.1, okay?
Right.
The following guidelines are recommended for all commercial and residential uses. They are offered to articulate siting and development design options that are supportive of the rural character in this district. And then it talks about retain and reuse existing old farm roads and country lanes, rather than constructing new roads or driveways. So
that's what I have.
well, I'm just saying, but it's not like, it's guidelines that are recommended.
Understood,
Okay,
totally
So-
understood.
So that seems reasonable. I mean, to leave it. I don't have a problem leaving it.
I don't have a problem with taking it out.
I would, yeah, I think taking it out would be okay.
I think it's a good idea to leave there as a recommendation.
I mean, this was actually something that Guy
Pointed out.
flagged as well.
Okay, well, then I can see taking it.
And his
I
concern,
just-
What do you think, Cal? This would affect you more than.
65. I think it's use Catherine's words unnecessary and unenforceable.
Okay, so then I would say,
Yeah, I don't know, I'm
Take it out.
gonna disagree with you guys, you guys are all agreeing with this, and I disagree with it, because I think the recommendation. All it is a, look at this is what we recommend.
Mm.
I don't see a problem with that, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, I mean, it's not like, and you talk about enforceable, I'm having a hard time with that argument, like, well, it's not enforceable, well, neither is the speed limit. But we still have a speed limit and we still have laws, we
the
can't
speed- the
just.
speed limit and laws are enforced.
I mean, none of the recommendations are enforceable. Should we take all the recommendations out?
No, but there's been an argument that a lot of them should come out.
I don't
So-
agree with that argument.
That's fine.
I
We can
mean,
disagree.
I think the recommendations are important, especially, I was listening in this granting variances talk the other day.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, the responsibilities of the zoning board of appeals. And they said that, the use of character or the use of an idea behind the law like this is really important. And it's important for the zoning board of appeals to be able to look for that.
But what I hear you saying is there's the spirit of the law and the letter of the law.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm all for the spirit of the law, but
Mhm.
sometimes regulators come down a little heavier on.
If they can show, if they give a variance or don't give a variance, the zoning board of appeals has to show a rationale behind that.
Yeah.
And understanding behind that.
I'm gonna
And
say,
that the speaker actually really talked about the idea of the character of the area.
Yeah.
And the town.
I'm gonna say that, just talking to my daughter, who's an architect, who had to deal with the zoning board of appeals in an historic district on Long Island. They abuse that all the time, the whole character thing. And so,
In one way or another, or both ways. When you
well,
say you abuse something,
they were, they wanted to have a slanted roof so they could put on solar panels, and they said, oh no, that's against the character of the neighborhood, it's gotta be a peaked roof, and so that the solar.
But we're
panel-
not,
So I see the argument that it is a form of abuse, and I don't agree that, there's this great thing about you appeal and everybody's all there and.
but then if we look at the comprehensive plan, it talks about character. Do we then just
So
not use that?
That's not a
This
law.
is getting too
You know?
specious. We gotta focus on these
Yeah,
and,
so-
we may disagree. We should bring a vote and,
Yeah, I
and then we
disagree.
move
Like-
on.
I don't care that much either way, actually, but I see the argument.
Yeah.
And I think somebody with Cal's background and context might have a valuable point of view.
I think it's good to have it in there so somebody thinks about it if they're building in something new. I think it's a good recommendation, and I also like the part where the road has to be. If they do put a road in, it has to meet all the requirements of New York State town law.
Well, that,
That's a
That's the
different,
part
that's a
that
different.
guy
It
commented
was
on.
added on to it,
that
so I'm saying
what
that's
is that
now
what he
it's
said?
part
What
of
did he say
that.
about that?
So anyway,
He said, you
I
know,
disagree.
highway law will dictate here.
Yeah,
It's-
so-
Yeah.
Mark, I'd recommend taking a vote and moving on. It's already after 9.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay. So,
Make a motion to strike it.
okay, so
I'll second it.
you made a motion to
Strike it.
strike it. Cal made a motion to strike it. So that's to pull it from the consent agenda? Is that how we're gonna treat that? Or to strike it?
To strike it,
Yeah.
Just, okay.
to strike it.
Okay,
As
Great.
part of the consent.
So I
agenda.
second that.
As part of the.
What are we
consent agenda.
striking?
This paragraph?
The
A,
whole paragraph.
A, the paragraph.
So we're not doing any new road, it has to be up to standards. You're
So-
taking the whole thing out.
No, so what we're striking is this paragraph. The roads would still have to be up to 280A standards or whatever.
Okay,
So,
that's part of the paragraph.
Yeah. The people still have to pay the speed limit.
so I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Cal's resolution to strike it, say aye.
Aye,
Opposed? Opposed?
okay,
So that's 4-1, Jesse. So, great, thank you. And so now we get to turn the page.
On 6.5.15.D.5, when it says building setbacks, you mean the actual, would mean the actual building,
Where, I'm sorry,
Is it the next page?
yes.
It's, say the number again for the section, 5.
6.5.15.
Oh, I think
It's a different page
It's
for
a
me.
different page for.
Right.
Oh, 6 point,
6.5.15.D.5,
yep,
okay.
Is that it?
I don't see that.
Cal,
okay, is everybody okay going that far forward? 6.5 page 88.
Okay, so it's a subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
subdivision.
that, okay.
When you say building, you mean, well, building will always mean the actual structure envelope. I mean, sometimes when I think of a building, I think of its well and septic system and driveways.
I think that's in the definitions, right? What the building is.
You know,
Which I don't, yeah, no, but I think it's defined. when you-
okay,
But I don't have that.
well, you've been going through this stuff a lot more.
Yeah.
it's defined.
It's defined so that there's no question about that.
Okay,
The setback from barnyards, house and livestock.
well, I just, you know, you got two farms next to each other, you wanna put a house on the border of,
But this is a subdivision, not a
Yeah,
house.
this is the subdivision.
This is a whole huge subdivision.
well, subdivision is,
Okay, so you have a new subdivision.
Yeah.
And then, so,
you're subdivided off a little bit of farmland that's next to another farm, you know.
But a subdivision is a certain, also defined as, doesn't have to have 5 houses.
Five houses.
Right,
Yeah,
but it's not unthinkable.
okay.
So my understanding is the logic of this, Cal, is, and this is also recommended by George. The logic of this is to protect the farmer. To have
Absolutely.
a 500-foot setback so that the people moving into the new subdivision don't go whackers and crazy over smells and sounds, and et cetera,
Yeah,
which is very common,
yeah,
apparently very common.
yeah, but like, it's just cropland. I don't know, I think I'm splitting hairs now, so
Okay.
I don't wanna waste that time.
Well, the building setbacks from cropland is only 100 feet, so.
Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't seem.
But I think it was more just, you
I mean,
know,
yeah,
I wanted to
maybe.
know that building included the.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's in
That
the
when you
definitions.
talk about building, you know, well, you could put a driveway right along a property boundary.
Yeah, that's not the building though.
Yes.
So,
But, you know, we talk
Okay.
about building things and
Yeah.
sometimes we refer to building.
so this is just setbacks from cropland, pasture land, or barnyards.
Mhm.
Having less, and so that would be a setback for any building within the subdivision, right?
right.
Yeah, And
Yeah.
barnyards, housing, livestock.
Yeah, you see what I'm just, my thing is building setback, is building the actual structure or is building
The-
Oh.
doing stuff.
No, it's-
No.
It's
No,
just the
no,
structure.
It's the structure.
Yeah. But, so should we go back to the page that we just skipped?
Yeah.
I don't have any comments, but
I think
you
we,
know me, I just like to keep it in order.
Oh, no, I have no comments on that page.
Yeah, I mean, we're deleting this one whole thing, right?
Yeah,
Any problems with that, or I don't have any problems, but
52B1A.
well, that's in the stream order,
okay.
which we agreed to delete this summer.
and
Remember that discussion?
the reason for deleting this, some people might feel like this is losing our capacity to protect these things, but all of these things, I mean, are super. It's difficult to demonstrate no impact. And so all of these things, and flood carrying capacities of water courses, or negative water impairment. So how do you demonstrate? So I think that was part of that was the main
Yeah.
reason. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable with this one. Okay. Go back and let's see. And Cal brought up, the one conundrum about that ag district thing is,
Where are you, Mark?
I'm back where Cal was on the
Oh,
ag district
mhm.
setbacks,
HAD.
page 88. So then once you have, once you establish a subdivision, then what if the farmer says, oh, I'm gonna build a, barn, I'm gonna build a barn here, closer, then it does impact the,
Got to pick up and move the houses.
yeah.
Well, this is a provision on the subdivision,
Right,
not on the farm.
Right, yeah.
right,
It's on the
The
subdivision.
farm could still,
The farm can move.
once the subdivision's built,
yeah, that's right, Okay.
The subdivision.
right.
Yeah.
right, so we're okay with this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no change there. I just want to make a note, I had a conversation with Bill, he pointed this out, I missed page 109, 7.6.3. I believe I messed this up, so it should be delete the following from 7.6.3, H and K, and then O, Q, U, W are from 7.6.4.
Okay, good.
That's different.
But you're deleting those also?
Hmm?
You're deleting
That's
those,
the proposal.
okay.
Right. I'm glad you got that. I didn't catch it.
Thank Bill for that. He's like, what all are you deleting anyway? I can't figure it out. There's no letter.
On the next one, performance guarantee, is that defined? Because how do you guarantee for something that's not done yet?
Which one, Cal?
The next one, next two down, 7.7.11.8.
7.7.11, I don't. Yeah,
Page 114.
I don't have that, I only have page 113 and then page
You
118.
don't have that?
Do I?
Oh, my goodness.
This
I don't.
iPad of mine does all sorts of weird things.
Right? You don't see it, do you?
No. Oh,
It's 3 paragraphs, so you don't have.
yeah, so that's the problem. This is the resolution with the agenda, which is modified.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay.
So sorry about that. Yeah,
So this is what we want to look at.
yeah.
Okay.
Wait, do we want to look at this or not?
Most of what's in here is in there, but
Yeah.
there are gonna be some tweaks that aren't, and this is one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what page are we on for the
114.
page 114?
Yeah.
This doesn't have my notes. Okay.
I don't remember.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, this is just,
Page 114.
right, this is just an editorial tweet to add required into that sentence.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's just, yeah.
How late are we gonna work on this?
Well, it's 1 o'clock.
I'd like to get this done. I mean, we
Okay.
don't have that much more to do.
Just looking at Becky.
I hoped it was all lined up, kind of.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we've looked at it in advance.
all right.
On the next page,
I feel like each time I read through it, I always find something.
That's it, you just have to like,
Exactly.
I mean,
I keep telling myself.
I'm very fine with what was presented to us as this agenda item, because I went through it all.
all right, which one is
I
that?
think we're getting close though.
Okay, now where are we?
Let's just go through and,
Yeah.
so page 124.
Got it.
And Tim pointed out, so I guess I'll make that by the zoning officer.
Right.
Okay,
That's the term I used.
okay.
So I made that notation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Enforcement is changed to
We
zoning.
talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is the enforcement officer?
Those zoning-
The zoning officer.
It could be, so enforcement officer is a broader term,
Okay.
so it could be either the zoning officer or the code enforcement officer. So, but some of,
Okay.
New York State Building Code is code enforcement officer.
Correct.
And zoning officer is a zoning officer, which could be the code enforcement officer. So,
Code or.
yes. Page 125, added to explanatory
But is it, well,
that one accessory structure is allowed
which one?
125.
on the page 125 note.
Okay, got it, yeah.
Oh, and I want to bring this up. So, and Bill brought this up in his privilege of the floor
Right.
comments. And I found it persuasive. So I am inclined to agree with the zoning commission's judgment on this to retain that language. And so take out that strike through. It's in two different places. It's in, I think, section, we already went by it, section 5, I think. I will find it. So what are your thoughts on that? Guy had called in.
Sorry, where are we?
So we are right now on page 125, 9.1.c.
Okay.
And I think Bill talked about this at privilege of the floor.
Mhm.
So this is to allow non-conforming lots to be subdivided once. So the only non-conforming lots would be in the ag rural district that don't qualify for
Right,
more than
that's
one
right.
development unit. And so his reasoning was it doesn't really, so anyone who had like I think he used 4.4 acres.
Right.
So if somebody got 4.4 acres, we want to divide it into 2.2 acre
Mhm.
lots. There's no harm as far as the goals of the comprehensive plan in allowing them to do
I'm
that.
absolutely fine keeping this in.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're all good with
Keep
that?
it, yeah,
yeah.
Okay, so keep.
yes.
That was.
And I
These
think
were big arguments that came up a lot.
you guys
That-
talked about it a lot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people would complain about it, we'd say, but you can do it once, you can wait.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So, I can see.
In the example of 2.2 acres.
Yeah,
And I have to, I do want to note that I think it's gotten by me. I know there's one other place where it's referenced. Let's see if I can have it.
As part of our consent agenda, can we authorize the supervisor to make that change when he locates it?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll find it. Okay, thanks. So I will find it. Anything else on that page?
no. that's it.
And somebody did ask me about why crossing out all the records stuff, and that was just because it wasn't pertinent to this law. It doesn't mean that the records are not public information,
Right.
so.
And that was actually something that was recommended in legal review by Guy. Which almost all of these changes from here on out were recommended by Guy.
Okay,
So let's see, I think
So,
I'm not seeing any more notations.
okay, I want to ask about the enforcement officer change, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is, so we've got it in other places, we changed it to zoning officer. So we got zoning officer in some places and then the enforcement officer in that other place.
We changed it to zoning officer everywhere.
It
We
should
just
be-
changed it, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
It should
good.
be everywhere.
it should be, if that's the goal. We'll,
Okay.
we'll keep weeding them out.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, so, we had a discussion with Guy and he is going to tweak parts of section 10 and section 11
Okay,
that he was concerned aren't up to the most recent state, blah, blah, blah. So we authorized him to just go ahead and do that, please.
okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Looks to me like we're done with this tonight.
I think so. I think so. I should
Yeah.
stop letting it haunt me. So,
Yeah.
so we'll fix it later if we have to. So with that, I will put those changes forward for approval at the consent agenda.
Second,
Seconded by Tim. And any further discussion? You want to go through them all again?
no.
We could just do it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Great, thank you. And
Then we have what they started with,
we have a little more work to do.
okay, police security.
Exactly for the video cameras, which I do think will
Oh,
be
yeah.
a very nice safety improvement that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
I strongly feel that. So everybody's read that resolution, right, and seen the proposal?
Yeah.
So I'll offer a resolution to approve the contract with Ace Security for the video security system.
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? Good with that, Cal?
Yeah.
And thanks for your feedback. I think removing the side cameras was a great idea, so. I like this, it's simple, and I will follow up with Ace.
They will.
Good night, Will.
Good night.
You could have waited a little longer, you see the actual end of the meeting. So, great, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, I'll contact Ace tomorrow. Thank you.
That's great.
And I'll find out, I did want to find out about, just project onto people's computer screens, that's why I asked Gary about the monitor, so.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary,
Right.
so.
Minutes, we have to approve the minutes, yeah.
Great, with that, let's see.
Minute, yeah.
Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes? Yeah, and no changes?
Sorry, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that there were a few edits to the business meeting minutes recommendations from Mark, that I did. And I meant to send them through tonight. They were from a Set Velvet did that you all received. The October business, and there were just minor edits, so I will get those over right now.
Everybody's name is wrong.
That's fine.
That's great, we'll just worry about it next time.
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect, Jesse, thank you. I couldn't remember if those went out, so that's great. So, agenda items for the November 15th meeting, we'll start with the public hearing on the budget. I imagine we'll have more time for zoning discussion.
If we can, so what we need to do is to discuss Mark and I recommend reviewing SUPs.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's really the meat of what needs to be done. And then the CAFO thing we can deal with at the same time. After we do that, it seems like we're in pretty good shape. Then we'll just have to wait for Guy to give us sections.
yeah, I mean, I think this SUP thing will be kind of an interesting learning
Yeah,
discussion, so let's see what happens.
Okay.
And public hearing in December. Public hearing probably in December.
Probably.
well, we have to do the seeker.
Maybe.
We have
We
to-
gotta do the seeker,
Yeah, I gotta be a seeker too, so I got it, yeah. We
And we
do,
gotta have Thanksgiving.
we do have, we'll have the public hearing on Thanksgiving.
Good idea.
That's a good idea.
Let's not say we did.
What do we have to do with CAFO? I thought we settled that.
I think he's talking about
Just-
modifying the SPA. Oh, you thought ASPR would do it?
Oh, no, we did that. We did that. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I think
Shut
we
up,
did.
Jen. Good, thank you.
Yeah,
We did it.
Okay,
but yeah, so, great, but anyway, I'll think of it later. There's gonna be other stuff on the agenda, I'm sure.
well, you can send us-
I don't know if there's gonna, I don't think there's a huge lift to going through the feedback we got on the battery energy storage law. So,
I guess the only question that we'll need to make is whether or not we want to just suspend it for the time being, because we have a moratorium in place. The biggest concern was doing a moratorium on it.
When is the
Right.
moratorium? When is the
February
mandate?
1,
Yeah, I wanna get this.
I'd rather spend time on this
then the battery law.
than the battery law.
Yeah,
Get this done. The
Yeah.
battery law is basically done, and then it just entails a philosophical discussion that I don't think we're completely ready to have yet.
Yeah, that's fine,
Okay,
that's fine. Yeah, they're probably, yeah. There'll be some other resolutions for
Yeah.
fire departments and stuff like that, but. Great, okay.
okay.
Should we let everybody go home?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
wait.
offer a motion to adjourn,
One second.
seconded by Cal, but not.
Yeah,
Which one?
like Cal. I'd like to talk in private about this, thing. But
So,
Well, let's adjourn first.
so all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Opposed?
I
Great,
guess I was asking for the
Okay.
executive, but just very briefly.
okay, hang on, so